The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zethkar of the Dominion raised his crystalline appendage. His species had ruled the Outer Rim for 3 millennia, and his contempt for the newest applicants was palpable. "These humans," he began, the universal translator struggling with his disdainful tone, "wish to join our esteemed council with what credentials exactly? They have barely mastered faster-than-light travel. Their world is a chaotic mess of competing nations. They still use projectile weapons for warfare." Laughter rippled through the assembled delegates. The Vorthak representative's chitinous shell clicked in amusement, while the energy beings of Nexus Prime flickered with what could only be described as condescension. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's chief diplomat, stood calmly at the speaking podium. Her dark hair was pulled back severely, and her expression remained neutral despite the mockery surrounding her. Behind her, Captain James Chen of the UES Resilience maintained perfect military bearing, his weathered face betraying nothing. "Honored delegates," Elena began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. "Humanity requests consideration for associate membership. We offer our unique perspectives and our willingness to contribute to galactic peace." "Peace?" Zethkar's laugh was like breaking glass. "Your species has been at war with itself for its entire recorded history. Your planet's surface bears scars from conflicts that would have destroyed lesser worlds. What could you possibly teach the galaxy about peace?" The hegemarch of Titan's reach leaned forward, his biomechanical enhancements whirring softly. "Our intelligence reports indicate humans still practice something called warfare as entertainment. They simulate battles for recreation. Clearly, they are too primitive for civilized society." Elena exchanged a glance with Captain Chen. They had expected this reception. Earth's provisional government had prepared her for the galaxy's arrogance, but experiencing it firsthand was different. "Perhaps," she said carefully, "our experiences have taught us lessons that peaceful species have never needed to learn." "Such as?" The question came from matriarch Celthis, whose serpentine form coiled gracefully in her hovering platform. Her species, the Alari, were known for their philosophical nature and were considered among the most enlightened in the galaxy. Adaptation, resilience, the ability to find solutions when conventional wisdom fails. The chamber erupted in fresh laughter. Even Celthis seemed amused, her scales shifting to a lighter hue that indicated gentle humor among her people. 3 months later, the laughter had died. The crisis began in the outer spiral, where the Devourers, a machine intelligence from dark space, had emerged without warning. They consumed entire star systems, converting matter into more of themselves at an exponential rate. Within weeks, they had overwhelmed 3 major civilizations. The Galactic Council's response was swift and predictable. They deployed their most advanced fleets, commanded by their greatest strategic minds. The results were catastrophic. The Devourers adapted to every tactic, countered every strategy, and consumed every weapon thrown at them. Zethkar's proud dominion fell in 6 days. The enlightened Alari's homeworld was devoured in 12 hours. The mighty Hegemarch's fortress worlds crumbled like paper before the mechanical horde. In desperation, the surviving council members sent a quantum burst message to Earth. Assistance requested. Immediate response required. Captain Chen's response was terse. En route. The human fleet that emerged from FTL space above the besieged world of Kithra was laughably small. 12 ships against a devourer swarm numbering in the thousands. The remaining council delegates, refugees on their own ships, watched in bewilderment as the human vessels took impossibly aggressive positions. "They're going to get themselves killed," whispered the surviving Vorthak commander. "Brave but futile." What happened next redefined the galaxy's understanding of warfare. The humans didn't fight the devourers. They confused them. Instead of targeting the machines directly, they began destroying apparently random asteroids, creating debris fields with specific mineral compositions. They launched projectiles that seemed to miss their targets entirely, only to detonate in seemingly empty space. "What are they doing?" Celthus demanded over the comm channel. "Creating interference patterns," Elena's voice came back, calm and professional. "Your people fight with elegance and efficiency. We fight with chaos and paranoia. The devourers, programmed to adapt to direct threats, found themselves unable to process the seemingly irrational human tactics. Their adaptation algorithms became tangled in contradictory data. Their perfect efficiency was disrupted by attacks. That made no logical sense. Captain Chen's flagship, the Resilience, dove directly into the heart of the swarm. Instead of firing weapons, it released clouds of metallic chaff mixed with carefully engineered viruses, computer code written by humans who had spent centuries defending against their own cyber warfare. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Devourers' networked intelligence began to fragment. Their adaptation protocols turned against themselves. Within hours, the vast swarm was consuming itself in mechanical cannibalism. As the last Devourer ship went dark, consumed by its own corrupted systems, the galaxy fell silent once more. This time, the silence was different. Zethkar's voice, transmitted from his refugee vessel, was barely a whisper. "How?" Elena's response was delivered with the same calm professionalism she had shown during the Council's mockery. "We learned warfare from each other. We learned to be unpredictable because predictable humans died young. We learned to think like our enemies because our enemies were ourselves." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "You built a galaxy of peace by conquering or converting every threat you encountered. You created order through strength and wisdom, but you never learned to fight something that couldn't be reasoned with, that couldn't be overwhelmed, that adapted faster than you could plan." Captain Chen's addendum was delivered with grim satisfaction. "We've been fighting each other for millennia. We know how to fight ourselves. And that's the most dangerous enemy any intelligence can face." The formal request for humanity's immediate admission to full council membership arrived within the hour. The vote was unanimous. But in the weeks that followed, as human tactical advisors were distributed throughout the remaining fleets and human strategic doctrines were studied in military academies across the galaxy, a new understanding emerged. The universe had indeed mocked Earth's naivety, its chaotic politics, its brutal history, its seemingly primitive approach to conflict. Now, as human ships patrolled the dark spaces between stars and human minds worked to predict the next unpredictable threat, that mockery had transformed into something else entirely. Fear. Because the galaxy had learned what humanity had always known. Sometimes, the most dangerous creatures were not the strongest or the smartest. Sometimes they were simply the ones who refused to lose.